Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Aging and Spirituality, where we explore how we can all live a more fulfilling life after 60. I'm Chris Jensen.
Hi, I'm Cathy Lee Taylor.
We're happy you're here.
Yay!
Today, we're going to talk about breaking the spell of complacency, awakening in the second half of life. Now, what,
Hmm.
what is that all about? Okay, there's nothing wrong with comfort or stability. They're gifts of aging. But comfort can easily harden into complacency. And when it does, something vital in us begins to dim. We stop reaching, we stop growing, we stop feeling truly alive. But what if in this stage of life, it isn't about winding down, but awakening more fully? How about that? What if
Like that.
aging is an invitation to break the spell of complacency and step into greater freedom of spirit?
Hmm.
There's a choice we have to make. So today we're going to talk about how we can break the spell of complacency, how to reawaken curiosity, energy, and the spirit in the second half of life. And, this is an issue not just in the second half of life, but for many people in the fall, complacency starts to set in. Yogis do a lot of practices in October or November to try and break themselves out of complacency because complacency is like being stuck. And we have so much more opportunity to be vital and move forward. So complacency can look like comfort, but it feels more like a quiet dullness. Different traditions give it different names. Christians call it acedia, a kind of spiritual laziness. In yoga, we call it tamas guna, a heaviness, uh, inertness. In yoga, we say there are three main forces in life. Tamas being the inert one that keeps us down and moving, unmoving. Then there's rajas, which is being active, but maybe mindlessly active. And then there's sattvas, which is being active in a balanced way. And in Buddhism, it's ignorance or dullness. So no matter what we call it, complacency is like sleepwalking through life. And it's sneaky. It doesn't announce itself. It creeps in when our routines become automatic. It shows up when we stop questioning things, when prayer and meditation feel flat, or when we
Mm.
resign ourselves to thinking it's too late for me to try new things. So, does any of this resonate or sound familiar?
Yeah,
Oops.
unfortunately.
It happens. It happens.
Sneaks up on you, it really does.
Yeah. That's the whole point. It sneaks up on you, you don't even realize that it's happening. So why does it happen, especially as we age? Partly it's human nature. We all crave safety. We know what works, and it's easier to repeat it than to risk something new. People who stay in a job they hate for 30 or 40 years. There's also fear, the fear of failing, the fear of embarrassment, fear we won't have the energy anymore to do something. And of course, society often whispers at us, you're winding down now, you had your chance.
Yeah, right.
Don't buy into that. If you're not if you're not careful, those whispers become a spell. That's why I said breaking the spell of complacency. A
Oh,
spell, a trance that convinces us to shrink instead of expand. If we're not careful, that's what can happen. So we want to talk today about breaking that spell, about being more vital, more curious, more full of life and enjoyment. But here's the good news. Like any spell, the spell of complacency can be broken. Once we name it, once we know what it is, it already loses some of its power. Just by knowing no one wants to be complacent. Just by
just by
knowing
exposing it to us.
that,
Exactly.
just by knowing that, that's a start. So there are some things we can do to reawaken ourselves. I mean, right now, wherever you are, let's take a slow, deep diaphragmatic breath. Just as you inhale, just feel light and energy moving up your spine. And when you exhale, Feel like you're exhaling anything old and stale. And let the breath, you fill the abdominal area first, the middle chest, the upper chest. So it's a real deep breath. So let's do two of those. Just feel that light and life force moving up the spine and slow exhale of all the old stale, stuck, complacent stuff. Another one. Pay attention to that breathing. We're going to do another breath later, but just pay attention to it because when we breathe consciously, the fog begins to lift just by paying attention. And you just be mindful of what you're doing. You probably, if you did those two breaths with us, you probably noticed a little bit more life force, right?
Energy starts to move up and down the spine, right? That's what you sense. And that just feels invigorating.
Yeah. And just by getting you invigorated, you get up off your chair and do something.
Yeah.
So start with some breath, and we're going to do another breathing practice just before we close. But choose curiosity. Try something new, a new language, a craft, a song, a path you haven't walked before. Curiosity keeps things supple, you know. Cathy and her drumming. Tell me, right? I mean, you started drumming recently.
I have been doing drumming and it's fantastic. I try to start the morning and end the night with it because it just opens up places that I didn't have available before. There's something so calming about it, but also grounding and inviting in more energy. So I find it, like you just said, like really opening. And I've been focusing on opening my life in different ways, like, right, open myself to new people, opening myself to new conversations. I just did a talk today on my Facebook Live when I was talking about um, people that struggle with religion because this is something that they argue about, right? But we keep that conversation open and curious. You learn so much about each other and you learn how to get along and accept each other and grow. So that whole theme of opening is very much what I've been focusing on, and the drum's been helping me with that.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Learn a musical instrument, anything.
It's
It can be very
vibing. Yeah.
simple. Um, when I took singing lessons a number of years ago, I couldn't believe how much that opened me up.
Yeah.
So, and that's something I want to get back into, just by myself, but any of those things, anything at all, just draw some, get a piece of paper and just draw
Yeah.
anything that will open you up to newness, to curiosity. Be curious about things. You ever wonder about how things work? Maybe you're someone who was very curious about the science behind things. And there's so much information available that can help and spark that interest.
Yeah, I hope I'm not interrupting, but it makes me think of when you're in that process, you're opening yourself to the flow of spirit moving through you. If you're running on automatic, you're probably not paying attention to the messages that are meant for you.
Yep.
So when you do open up that energy and you pay attention to it, it's like, oh, there's a new thought I never had before. Oh, I would love to try that. I'm going to do that this weekend. Like that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's very revelatory.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So another thing is reconnect, reinvigorate yourself through service. Complacency isolates us, but purpose wakes us up. When we offer ourselves to others, listening deeply, mentoring, volunteering, we remember why we're here. We all have a gift to give, even if it's just our presence.
Yeah, I want to say something about that one just because we often think that in order to be of service, we got to stop what we're doing so we can, like, put
Yeah.
on a nut habit and just, like be of service
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
But it rarely shows up like that. Like I find now when I get up and I'm going to work on building my new business, instead of focusing on, oh, I got to sell this, I got to do this, I get up and I think, who am I going to bless today?
Yeah. That's it right there. That's it.
That's
Yeah.
Opens up a whole different world, right? A whole different way of looking at
Whole
it.
different world. Yeah.
And it attracts an entirely different thing too, right? Who am I gonna bless today? And so every time you have a conversation or you think to reach out, you have that sense of, oh, okay, what's gonna happen now?
Mhm. Exactly. What's next? Be open to
Yeah.
it. It's exciting. And find an organization or something that you care about. And if you're into such a complacent mode, you don't care about anything, just pick something. Just pick something.
Get started, yeah.
Give your time and energy to it. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at the results. And then another thing is renew your spiritual practice, whether it's prayer, meditation, scriptures, chanting, or silence. We talked about silence last week.
Mhm.
Key is to approach all of this with fresh eyes, like a beginner again. When you first got into whatever spiritual avenue you're on, you were excited about it. There was an intensity to it. Cathy and I have both been doing yoga for many, many years, and we have certain practices we always do, but we also refresh our practice all the time. We listen to videos from the guru and we attend classes. And I mean, I just recently did a practice from the very beginning classes, and I thought, oh, this is so awesome. I need this now, you know?
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Stuff that you think, oh, I know that. No, you don't. And it so applies differently at this point in your life than it did 40 years ago.
Yeah,
That's why tools that stay around, they change, they grow with you. You grow with them,
yeah,
it's crazy. It's like just even praying, like we've been discussing, a number of people really struggling and having major challenges in their life right now. And I was saying to my roommate the other day, like, we are so blessed. We are so blessed to be able to have these lives and be able to just be able to come home and pray and be grateful and be able to help other people. It's a huge blessing in your life, to have these spiritual practices, to be able to continue to grow, to be
Mhm.
able to continue to be available to be of service, It
Mhm.
really is an amazing life to be grateful for.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just be a beginner. And then this is a big one, this next one. Face mortality with courage. This is
Yikes.
perhaps one of the biggest spell breakers. When
Yeah.
we remember that our time is finite, we stop postponing life. Complacency is all about postponing life. We live now, fully awake. So there's a practice that I have done in yoga, and I like to do it every once in a while because it really refocuses me. What if today is the last day of my life? What would I do? This was the
Freak.
last of my life.
When you ask that, I always think, oh, okay, I would freak right out.
I
I
didn't
would.
want to spend your last day freaking out, right?
Yeah. But then I'd get on with it and I'd go,
You
be
know,
with my kid and, whatever I could do.
right, right. But the point is to don't think, well, I'll do it later, or maybe I'll do it later, or I don't have time,
Priorities.
energy. Do it now. Do
Do
it.
it now.
Because you never know. You never know. So there's some questions you can ask yourself that can be helpful. Where in your life have you slipped into complacency?
Hmm.
Think about that. Think about it. You don't have to tell anybody. Just the awareness is going to help you get out of it. And where
Hmm.
is your soul longing to wake up? Now, what you can do to energize this question is to just get pretty relaxed. Put your awareness like along your spine, right behind the heart. That's what yogis call the heart center. Just ask the question, what is my soul longing to wake up? And then just close your eyes for a moment and just try to receive. Don't think, don't try to put anything out, don't have any expectations. Just relax and receive for like 30 seconds or a minute. See what happens. You might be surprised. And then one other thing is what small step, just one, could you take this week to break the spell of complacency. What small thing can you do? Maybe you take a walk in a certain way. Maybe you go a different way. Maybe instead of a walk, you do an exercise class. Just what can you do to break that spell? So I thought we would close. There's a very interesting breath practice in yoga that can help increase and balance your life force. And it can make a difference. And it's a very easy, funny one to do, but it can really increase your life force right away. And I don't know how much you can see here. I should have worn a lighter shirt, but this one, you do a passive inhalation, and then you do your exhalation by pulling and pushing in the abdominal area. It's called Kapalabhati. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm going to do 5 little pumpings of this. I'm doing a passive inhalation. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 5. So you can do 5 to 10 of those. But if you've never done it before, start with. You can work your way up to more. So we're going to do that for 5 of those, and then pause, do a normal breath, and then do it again. We're going to do that 3 times, and we'll see if you don't feel a little bit of an enlightened energy from it. So let's try this. You're on pace. You don't have to go fast. You don't want to go. Kapalabhati isn't real super speedy, so have a rhythm you want. Just 5. And then when you've done 5, you do a natural breath. Nice deep breath, exhale, and then do it again. And then we'll do a deep breath. One more time. I bet you feel more energy already.
100%. I'm like,
Right?
woo!
More alive, renewed. Just that little, I took us just a couple minutes. So remember, do that one. Work with being open and curious and all these things we talked about. And do that breathing practice. And I hope that you really discover some fresh, new energy. And
Yeah,
that your life is waking up, not winding down.
powerful. You
So I
can do it anytime, wherever you are.
hope you had fun with this today, because life can be so much more fun if we if we let it
Yep. If we play with it.
play. So thank you all
Uh,
so much for coming today. I hope this is helpful to you, and maybe you have friends it will help. So come to our YouTube channel. They can see it there. You can send them there. You can subscribe. You can like us. That's very helpful.
If we like you, you better like us back.
Yes.
That was great. Thank you. That was fun.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.